Let me introduce myself real quick. My name is Jane Olivia Ramirez. I am a mother of 4 children, all under the age of 5. So it's a crazy, hectic home. I'm also a dancer, a crumper. My dance name is Maud the Robot. So I'm under Yaya Vankova, the one with red hair. Yes. So I'm so excited. I'm so honored to have this conversation with y'all, really, for real. Can you guys just introduce yourselves real quick? Share a little bit about yourself and your creative career and how many kids y'all have. I want to know too,
Hello, my name's Melissa Cervantes. I am a mother of 2 children. I have an 11-year-old and a 11-year-old daughter and a 3-year-old son. He just turned 3. I am an educator at Sac State. I work part-time as in the Department of Dance. I also am currently getting my MFA at St. Mary's College of California in dance creative practice with also a design certificate. So I'm busy, but it just keeps going. That's just my life right now. Yeah.
What's up, y'all? My name is Charlene. I go by DJ Lady Char. I'm a DJ. I am a DJ teacher. I have an after-school program at 4 schools here in Sacramento, teaching kids how to DJ. I'm a full-time DJ. I have a 14-year-old daughter. And yeah, thanks for having me, y'all.
Is this on?
Oh, yeah.
This one? Oh, hey, hello. What's up, you guys? I'm Janae Rosebud. I'm a Sacktown native. I grew up dancing here, so I'm happy to be back in my stomping grounds. I've been dancing for about 20 years now. Predominantly hip hop, but have other backgrounds and jazz and tap and stuff like that. Came up with a lot of crews out here and stuff. Our Press Play, Boogie, Goodfellas, Bellas. I try to just be around whatever communities are here and just mingle with everybody. These days I'm living in Vegas and I'm dancing with Jabberwockies, and I feel really great to be representing the women there. First lady to be doing that, and now not the only one. And I am a mother of 1. I got 1 7-year-old, and he's doing really good. Yeah, we're busy.
Okay, I'm going to get right to the question because I'm really curious. How did early career choices lead you to where you are now? Was there a defining moment?
Me? Oh gosh, defining moment. Well, I think I knew that I wanted to dance. Once I started dancing, I just knew that was it. So, and I felt like I was a professional dancer at a really young age. But becoming a mother was definitely challenging because there's obviously a societal standard of you are a parent, therefore this is what you sacrifice for your child. And I wasn't willing to sacrifice my art, and my parents were definitely not happy about that either. And we all know just living the life of an artist, you could be struggling financially unless you know how to be savvy and, manage your time and money. So I think, one pivotal moment for me was just deciding okay, I'm gonna have this kid, but I'm also not gonna stop dancing. And then deciding to just really kick it into high gear and be focused on what that means to be able to support myself, support him, and support the creative vision. Luckily, the community, Sacramento community, has always lifted me up. I was always teaching at different studios and schools, and I've been all over the community. So without you guys honestly lifting me up those first 4 years of having Kai, I've had babysitters throughout the whole dance community, and everybody was there. So I think you guys were the pivotal point of I had Kai, and everybody was like, this is our nephew right here. You know what I mean? And so if you want to come to the battle, come to the battle. Bring him. You want to bring him to class, bring him. And that's really what helped me not lose it at first, because at first it was a lot. And you guys were the turning point. Yeah.
Definitely. It takes a village. It does take a village.
So the turning point for me, whoa, my bad. Turning point for me was when I decided to quit my day job, because I've always DJ'd. I'm almost 40 now, and I've been DJing since.
You look good. You look real good.
Thank you. I'm almost 40. I have a 14-year-old kid. The defining moment is when I decided to quit selling home warranties and to take DJing and my art full time. It was really, really challenging. You know, I did have a child to support, so letting go of my bread and butter was really, really hard, and it was a hard decision, but I really had to take and put my art forward because I knew that eventually that's what was going to make me happy in my life. I knew, you know, I could be a successful home warranty salesperson probably for a long time, but I knew that that wasn't gonna make me happy and fulfilled in my life. So the definite turning point was when I decided to quit my day job. I covered all my bases. I said, you know, I made sure my daughter was taken care of, even with the sacrifice that I was making. I had my partner that helped me a lot with that as well. So having somebody to support me while I was building up my DJ career was really important. But definitely in any artist's life, it's really hard to make that decision. Like, I'm quitting that 9 to 5 and I'm doing what I love. And a lot of people won't take that risk. But I definitely urge you to, because I did, and it was the best decision that I made.
I think I had several turning points. I think there was also a time where I didn't think dance was for me. I stopped teaching for about, I don't know, a year or two. And I think back in undergrad, I was trying to study nursing and dancing. That was the first turning point when I was in a clinic. And the nurse was like, "What are you studying?" I'm like, "I'm studying dance and nursing." And she was like, "Oh, you're two different sides of the brain all the time." I'm like, "Oh my gosh, yes." And that's when I put my foot down. My daughter was probably 2 at the time, and just did it. Like, you just decide to do it, and it starts to unfold, like, who is willing to support you, and that's who you reach out to. And know, even though you have those slumps of maybe not believing in yourself or whatnot, not believing that this is for you. That happened probably my first term of grad school not too long ago. You just keep going. Yeah.
You guys are making me real emotional because I can really feel all these answers, especially being a mom. A lot of people don't really understand it unless they become a parent, you know? Mm-hmm. So it's heavy. Try not to cry. Can you define the power of motherhood and how that feeds your creative career?
You're making me think of what my husband told me when our first kid, Amelie, was born, and this may not be true for everyone, because also there are people who decide to not have kids, right? But his perspective, our perspective, is you don't really know what true love is until you have a kid, until you have something to take care of. Your whole world shifts. And I forgot the second half of the question, but
Could you repeat the question? I'll ask.
Define the power of motherhood and how that feeds your creative career.
All right, so tying along with what she said, it's true. Like, once you have that child pops out, you have this love that you have never felt before. And you just have this obligation and this responsibility to make this person the best person that you couldn't be. You know what I mean? Like, all the mistakes that I made, like, how do I make them not make those? You feel me? And that, as ultimately, as a mom, like, that's what your job is, you know? So having her, it really drives me to be successful in what I do, because I'm the example for her. She's watching me move, and how I move, that's how she gonna move. You know what I mean? So everything that I do, the way that I work, the way that I talk to people, the way that I treat people, how kind I am, she's picking up on all those things. And she really, really is the main reason why I do what I do. Period.
Okay, I'm gonna keep it 100 with you guys, okay? Motherhood wasn't something that I felt like was for me. So when I was pregnant with Kylan, it was really, really difficult for me to decide that I was going to keep him because I had a plan. I felt like I had a path. I knew who I was as a mover and an artist, and I know how difficult it is to balance. And I didn't think that I could do it. And I always was like, I'm going to have kids in my 30s. I got stuff to do. You know what I mean? And having him in the beginning, my motivation was to just prove people wrong, that I didn't have to be the type of mother that people thought that you have to be. That I wanted to make sure I gave him everything he needed and not neglect him, but I didn't want to have to change my whole person for that to happen. And so the first few years was me just fighting, like, I'm not going to stop. I have a dream, and I need him to see me fulfill it so that no matter what comes, whatever he picks up along the way, it doesn't have to take him off the path if he doesn't want to. So now that I've kind of settled in and I'm embracing motherhood and I'm learning how to just love him and pour into him and, you know, facilitate whatever he loves and he needs, now that I kind of have stability in my artistry, I'm finding more of like a balance. But it was definitely difficult to embrace it more than fighting against, like, I'm not your typical mom. Like, that was me for a while until I'm like, okay, it's not a fight anymore. I don't have to prove, you know, that I am the artist that I am. Now I'm just making time in my life, you know, to make sure that my son has what he needs. And I know that he's watching. He's watching, and I hope that he pulls from it, you know, what I'm saying. You just, whoever you are is who you are, and your child doesn't change that. You just learn how to, you know, share your love, you know, and your time with them, and you invest in them as you continue to invest in yourself. So I hope that he learns and he sees what it means to be genuine and be a parent. You know what I mean? So that's where I came from, and I'm so glad that I had him, because motherhood has become just, it's become a platform for me to just be so grounded and definitely responsible. It allowed me to cut out all the things that were just reckless and pointless and wasting energy, because now I don't have any time to BS. You know what I mean? I get to what I love to do, and then I'm getting home to my family. And so for that, I love it. It keeps me grounded. So, yeah.
I would like to add also, having kids, you learn so much from them from day one. Their sense of curiosity has me questioning all the time, and I'm thankful for that and grateful. And I think just as much as they learn from us, it is true. I learn just as much from my 11-year-old and my 3-year-old on a daily basis.
Definitely.
I do believe that it does take a village for us to like continue our creative careers. So like, who do you guys surround yourself with? Like, who's in your circle? You know, who motivates you? Who, like, what's your friends look like?
My circle. Right now, I feel like I'm surrounding myself with people who I can have a conversation with. It's more than just you know, the first face. I don't stick around that circle too long. So somebody who I can actually ask questions with and kind of unfold the layers of what is actually happening with myself, other people, and the community at large. I feel like that's important.
My circle is filled with people who make me feel good about myself, and I can reciprocate that in return and make them feel really good about what they're doing as well. So whether it's in business, in a friendship, family, you know, acquaintance, like if that person makes me feel good about the subject that we're talking about at that moment, then we cool, you know. My circle is basically filled with people who are like-minded, like people who I aspire to be like, people who move the way that I want to move, you know, and I pick up things off of them. They pick up things off of me, and we have a reciprocity in our relationship to where we're all getting something out of the relationship that we have, and that's the type of people that I keep in my circle.
Nice. I think right now specifically, I'm in like a unique position where my circle isn't close to me anymore, or like I'm in a different circle because my work is just taking me out of the community that was my circle. So now I'm in a place where I am really consciously choosing to maintain relationships with my friends. Like I have to go out of my way and call and, check up and come visit. But it's definitely, the same people that's been holding it down in the dance community. And it's definitely my family. Nobody has been more supportive than my mom. So I'm so grateful for that. All the women in my family, honestly, I have a circle of women, my mom, my 2 aunts. We're constantly like in group chats and, having conversations. If I'm breaking down and crying, I'm calling my mom. Like I call my mom every day. Like it's so funny. Even today, I probably talked to her like 3 times already. So it's still very much just like that core family and the same dancers that I came up with. I'm always, reaching out and meeting new people, definitely. But it's always just the kindness that I see in someone's heart, you know what I mean? And finding people that are supportive, and no matter really what walk of life you got going on, I like really touching bases with everybody. But I think I just feel kind of in a position where my circle isn't so tight right now. We're all expanding and trying to figure out where we are in the world, but we still are connected. You know what I mean? Yeah.
What does a lifestyle of balance look like for you, and where are you on that scale? That's kind of a crazy question.
I think it's always teetering, for sure. There are moments where I drive myself crazy, and that's where I have to self-check and kind of like, where am I on that scale? How do I kind of bring it to an even playing ground? For instance, I took this term off of work just so I can kind of concentrate on my thesis, and it was important for me to be there for my family because I feel like still my head is always thinking about what I need to express, and it is hard to stay grounded. So that's when I feel my feet on the ground.
So balance for me is having a good work schedule. My wife's happy. My daughter's getting good grades. My house is clean. And I'm getting some good rest in between all of that. Where I'm at, particularly right now in that balance, is I'm working too much. I have a lot of people that are depending on me, and it's hard for me to say no, and that's something that I'm trying to teach myself right now, is to maybe just focus on a few things and not put my hand in, a million different things. Maybe just focusing on 5 things and really, really making those 5 things amazing. And that's where I'm trying to get right now in my balance, is I have like a million things. I'm trying to narrow it down to 5. So that those 5 things could just be, focused on and really good and amazing.
Just 5. Balance for me. Recently, I'm learning time and money management. I think that's like the biggest thing for me right now in this chapter, is just learning time and money management to where I'm able to invest back into, my son and his extracurricular stuff. He wants to do everything, and I want him to do everything. Also, just having that downtime, kind of like Randy was saying, like there's a huge difference between just like walking around with the identity of a dancer and an artist all the time, which I think I've also been doing, and just trying to like sit that down and just be a human and just be with my family and my friends. I think the biggest thing for me also with balance that's off is just like I don't have a lot of peace of mind right now. I think balance looks like being secure in yourself and having kind of a peace of mind that carries you through your path, and not being so wound up about where you're going or what's going to happen next. So I don't think I'm there yet, but I would really like to get to a place where sometimes I'm not like doubting or fighting so hard to get somewhere, where I can just like be in myself and just walk there. You know what I mean? Because sometimes it's like so much of a battle before I even open the door, and it was really just in my head. There's just a lot of anxiety in my head about like, how is this going to go, and what am I? And I would like to just get to a place of balance where I'm peaceful in my mind. So whatever it is, my objective for the day doesn't have so much friction. You know what I mean? If that makes sense. So yeah, I'm just working on getting grounded within myself mostly, and managing my money and my time. I know.
I keep getting touched by your guys' answers because I can connect. And it's like, I can't even look at these questions anymore just because I want to make it personal, you know what I'm saying? It's getting to that point where I'm like, I'm still in those stages that my pregnancies were all back to back, you know, so I'm holding a lot of weight of like still continuing my dance. And I'm like, I'm just curious to like, what's pushing you guys? Like, what do you do on the daily basis that is motivating you to keep going? You know, because I know there is days that our kids can get rowdy, or there can be like a day they're not having a good day at school, so it comes heavy on you, you know? You feel like you did something wrong as a parent. So like, what is motivating y'all? I feel like crying, oh my gosh. So like, I'm gonna share a quick experience because this past in January, there was a Crump event, and I had all my 4 kids. I didn't have a babysitter that day.
Yeah.
They bounced on me, and my goal that day was to win. So I was like, you know, I'm gonna win for y'all. All my kids were there, and I won. So I'm feeling so honored to even like ask you guys this, you know? I get to have this personal conversation with y'all. So I would love some advice. And I know a couple of people here too, as moms of dancers, of moms of kids that want to dance or anything creative. Like, what do you guys have to say to that? I'm ugly.
Not ugly at all. Can you remind me of your question?
What's pushing you on a daily basis? Mine's TED Talk.
Yeah, TED Talk's good. For me right now, my experience is in the grad school world, so it's research. And right now I'm digging and questioning, is our past history, is it worth looking into our past history, our patterns? That goes with movement, mind, physical, emotional, mental. What is that? And does that affect your trajectory in life? Is that important to investigate? That is a question. And I think just in what I'm learning at St. Mary's about somatics, your perceived experience from within, and learning how to ground yourself through your body, I think is really important. One of the teachers that I just had, he had shared with me, knowledge means nothing until it's in the body. And I think that's really interesting, especially in the world we live in, where everything is like you're always reaching for something. So I question, like, what is that like yielding and in your own body? Yeah.
So what pushes me is like human connection. I really feed off of connecting with people. So if I'm not feeling that connection, like I really need it and I want it. So, that's why DJing is really good for me, is because like I can communicate with a large body of people, all at once. And I can control that room, and I really can set a mood for the night. Like if you had a bad day and I'm DJing that night, you don't remember that bad day. You feel me? Like, that's what's up. So what drives me is the human connection. Like, I want to have you guys forget about the bad week that you had at work. I want, and that's yeah, like I want to teach what I know to my kids so that she doesn't have to go through the struggles, that I went through as a child. And that's what drives me is connection. Like if I'm getting through to you and you're getting something out of me, it like makes me want more of that, and that's why I do what I do.
Nice. I'd have to agree that like I think it is like a human connection that drives me as well. But recently it's kind of been coming from a different place. Like I know once I get a couple of things off my checklist as an artist that I'll go to school and go through psychology and become like a teen counselor. So for me, like I know I specifically resonate with a certain group of kids, usually about 12 to 19. But in general, it's just like I like the connection that you get when it's super, super intimate and personal. Like you ever somebody pull you to the side, like, can I talk to you real quick? That's what like drives me. So even when I am creating my art and my pieces, I'm always trying to think about telling certain stories, usually that I might be holding on to, things that I don't always tell you or things that I know you don't always tell me. I'm trying to find those connections that we try to hide. Like the things that we don't always feel like are just open to being expressed or something. Sometimes we just don't have the words for them, you know what I mean? And that's why dance is also super important, to be able to just have that release and that expression when we're not even ready to verbally communicate it. But sometimes we do. We verbally communicate it, and sometimes I'll internalize it and try to, you know what I mean, bring that out. And I think through my artistry, that's always been like a huge driving point for me. Yeah.
Thank you, guys. I'm just going to open this up. So if anyone wants to ask one question, feel free to ask. Does anyone have any questions for these beautiful mamas? No? Yeah.
When you had your first child or your only child that you have right now, was there a point in time where you questioned your artistry and said, like, maybe this is something I have to stop? Like, I know that you guys talked about the external influence of this is what a mother should look like. Did that resound louder than your passion and you pursue your career right now? And if so, like, just like you said, like, what motivated you to drive past that and break through that barrier?
Did we ever like doubt that we would dance, or did the passion kind of be dimmed by the pressure or something like that?
It could have been a theoretical.
Yeah.
You know, I'm still gonna pursue, but then after you had it,
yeah. Well, I was always dancing full time. I never really didn't dance full time, and so I had to kind of make a decision if I was gonna like switch over. And for a while, I was almost gonna go to nursing school. I was getting just a lot of pressure from my family, and they were just so upset. They were just so disappointed. I just felt like every time I walked in the house, I was just like disappointing them. I was still living with my parents and just not even able to support myself. So yeah, there was a time where I was thinking I needed to just put it down and get responsible and support, us, and maybe put art second. I never felt like I could put it down though, because it's like so ingrained in my identity that I'm still, like I said, I'm still working on the balance of figuring out who I am without it. So I never really considered actually putting it down, but I definitely had times where it's like, okay, well, I gotta get serious and grow up and learn how to balance and juggle more than I'm juggling, obviously, to not feel like a burden in my house, or not feel like a disappointment as far as, just being able to handle responsibilities. But I don't think motherhood ever got to the point where I was like, all right, that's it. Like, I'm not an artist anymore, because I was never willing to do that. Yeah.
There have been times where I've definitely wanted to put my artistry down, just because of the way I was being looked at as a DJ. Like, a lot of people don't think DJing is a job. They think you're just out drinking and partying and having fun. Like, I very much so look at it as a business. So for me, it's not like that, So I got a lot of flack from people who are just like, you're not a good mom. And I really pride myself on being a good mom. And like, hearing that is the worst for me, Like, even though those people don't matter and they're saying it still really hurts when like people think you're a bad mom, you know? And just because I'm a DJ and I'm out at night and, you know, there's alcohol around and, you know, sometimes bad things happen at the club, like people just didn't think that I had a respectable job, and it really made me feel bad about myself for a while. I almost quit DJing and went back to do home warranties. Psych. Yeah. Yeah. You know, and then exactly. And then you think about like, what am I going to do? Go back and do home warranties? I'm doing what I love right now. So, you know, like F what those people say. Like, I'm going to do me and I'm going to move forward, and it doesn't matter what they say. And that's basically what I've been telling myself, you know, and now DJing is a respectable job. I don't care what y'all say.
Like I said earlier, there was a time where I had to step away from teaching, from dance altogether. And I think that was when I noticed I was not a good mother. And it always, dance movement, however, always came back up within the experience of trying to set it aside. And now it's kind of come full circle. You know, there was always this side of me that was interested in like the scientific part of the body, and I think dance, at least in the world of academia and where it's going, and it's in the world of somatics, it kind of bridges those two. And so, and it's a newer field, so that's where I'm kind of moving towards. And because I believe if you yearn for these certain things, it'll show up somehow in different forms. And for me, it's still dance and science, you know? And so I'm finding that because I allowed myself to still look for it. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Y'all all know your mama is so important. So imagine this was your mama. Y'all better give them the biggest applause ever. Thank you guys so much. I'm so honored that I got to talk with y'all. Real talk, real talk. Like, one more time.